Welcome to PÖFF TV. I'm very happy today. I'm joined with Karin Pennanen, who is the director of Days of Wonder. Welcome.
Thank you.
How's your festival so far?
It's great. I've never been to PÖFF, even though I live in Finland. It's really strange. We've always talked about coming here, but now I'm here with my own film, and having the premiere here was just amazing. So I'm just happy.
And it was the world premiere last night. Can you just tell us briefly, what was it like? I think family members were seeing it for the first time. How was that?
Yeah, everybody were seeing it for the first time, and there were like a lot of people, relative, family, friends, colleagues from Finland that came. So it was very unique, and for me very nerve-wracking, exciting, amazing. Like really, like the name of the film, Days of Wonder. It feels like Days of Wonder here too.
That's great. Well, I was there. It went very well. Could you, not the easiest film to describe, could you tell us what is the film about?
It's about my uncle Markku. It's about like my relation to him. So it's a bit also about myself. It's a very personal film. It's about how to live one's life. It's about an unique inner world, art, family relations, death. So big subjects.
Very much so. And we should say he was an artist,
Yes.
a prolific artist.
Yes, he was a multi-talented artist, a composer, and probably testing like all art forms, and also like very interested in everything in the world. So he was kind of a lifelong learning person, I guess, trying to figure out why we are here, what is a human, what is life, all the mysteries of life.
The big questions. I think you thought about making a film about your uncle a long time ago. Is that right? Could you
Yes.
just, was this when you were a student?
Yeah, actually, when I reconnected with him, when I started studying film, because my uncle was also a cinephile, and he introduced me to the art of cinema when I was a child, showing old classics from real film reels. So and he had, like, my whole adult life, he had been this mystery, because I didn't know so much about what was going on. He was very close when I was a child, but then he moved away from our neighbor when I was 11. So he was really like a figure from my childhood. So yeah, I got that idea a long time ago, but always another project came in the way, and I was also a bit like, how should I introduce this to him? But it was always in the back of my head to make a film about him, hopefully with him.
And when you finally got the chance
Yes.
to make this film, I mean, you inherited a great deal of footage, audio tapes, and obviously a huge body of his work. Can you just tell us what that was like? Is this a good thing or a bad thing or overwhelming?
It's something that I feel that this film chose me. This subject chose me, and I just had to do it. And it took almost 4 years. And just going through all his audio tapes took a year for me. So I existed in his world, and sometimes the boundaries between me and him started blurring, in this very strange existential process I have been through. So it was hard work going through everything, but it was also like getting gifts all the time. Amazing things, like one after another, just amazed me.
So you're listening to all these audio tapes, you're seeing all this wonderful archive of multimedia art. How did you know or decide what to do with it? And what to use, what to not use? Because this could have been a 17-hour film. How did you decide to edit it down and get it to the story you've got today?
Yeah, I know. I even had like a friend, a theater director, who was very upset and like, this is not going to fit into a normal film. It has to be like an installation of many days, because it's a whole life and a very productive artist life. There I got a lot of help from my editor, Markus Leppälä. So he just kind of bravely started editing from what we had, and then it started building from there. And of course I made a manuscript, and it was a long process, and luckily we had enough time to edit, which is so important in this kind of film. So, but still, as a filmmaker, of course, I have to like carry the pain of not of having to exclude some things that also would have been so interesting. But at some point, the film starts kind of telling you what belongs to the film and what does not, even if it's interesting things. So that also helps.
Oh, that's interesting. So it was almost like making the decision for you.
A bit, yeah. Of course, I had to make a lot of hard decisions, but yeah. At some point, you have to start thinking about like the film. It has to be a whole, and yes.
Your uncle obviously was across different mediums, visual mediums. The film itself is also using multimedia tools to tell its story. Can you tell us a bit about that? What's how did you decide on this style of film?
Because there was so much of different formats and materials, also from like spanning, I don't know, 50 years. So there's everything from Super 8 to crappy VHS and then the stuff we filmed. I just kind of embraced this richness, and I think it somehow resembles also Markku, my uncle, kind of like in an encyclopediastic way. And his one of his main art forms is collage, which is a bit same as montage in film. So I thought it suited very well as a thought.
And the story, how was there a wrestling match between it being his story and it being your story? How did that feel?
Yes, well, you have to listen to a lot of funders and coaches, and in workshops and everything, you get a lot of opinions, and sometimes people were like, we want to know your story and your relation, and trying to emphasize that. But of course, I was more interested in my uncle than me. I think I'm a bit more ordinary person than Markku. But then again, I'm like the guide into his world. So it was a balancing. Yeah. I think that the focus is on like a cinematic dialogue. Yeah.
And what about that process? Did you learn a lot about yourself during the process?
Of course, it's my first feature documentary film, so it's been a learning process also on so many levels. And one thing I learned, like content-wise, was that how big of an impact we have on each other as persons, and sometimes we are not even aware of that. I became aware of my uncle's impact on me through this process, and his like unique meaning to me. Yeah. What else did I learn? Well, I must say I was inspired by Markku's attitude towards creativity, because it's very unique and quite rare that he didn't publish any of his art, and at the end he was more focused on the process than the final result. I also found a lot of art that was like kind of not totally finished. So he was working on simultaneously on many projects and pieces of art, and I think it was just like focus on the process, and making art is the best thing.
And also there's it's not just all about art, there's also his personal relationships captured on tape, audio tape.
Yeah.
Could you tell us a bit about that, discovering these things and how it felt to discover them, and also then include them in the film? Were you ever conflicted about including things like this, very personal things?
Well, he's an interesting person because he's so contradictory. I mean, he's in my family, everybody has been talking about him as like an hermit, and he doesn't want to have to do with people, but actually he's quite social. And this is something I discovered with all his taped phone calls, a lot of them, and then this unknown love story, which just blew me away. And actually I think I just totally associated to Jane Austen now, because she was so good at writing, about relationships, but I guess she was single, if I don't, So sometimes, and I also think Markku was like kind of very wise, like socially, and he was always observing people. So he wasn't like a classical hermit. What is it called, hermit?
A hermit,
Hermit,
or
hermit,
recluse.
yeah.
Yeah.
He, not at all. You think it's someone who's like in a cave and. He was like, when you started talking to him, he didn't end. I mean, he was just like so social in a way, very contradictory person.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, because the word recluse, but he's also, if he's a recluse, romantic recluse, it would appear.
Yeah, and he also wrote somewhere that he's communicating with dead artists, because he was, listening to all the classical music, and then he was writing the notes of them and trying to understand how Mozart was thinking, how Bach was thinking, how Rachmaninoff was thinking. So he actually wrote this sentence that he communicates with dead artists. So a bit the same that I did.
I mean, it's so intriguing. It was the world premiere last night. We have 2 more screenings. What would you hope audiences it's such a fascinating film. I hope everybody comes to see it. What would you hope they would take away from the film?
The joy of creation, just yeah. I also think it's a quite unique film, like nothing you've seen before. The border between life and death is a bit blurry in the film, and maybe the thought, how should I live my life? Because I want to quote Finnish documentary filmmaker Pirjo Honkasalo, who has said that Western life is so strange. We have all the possibilities, and yet most of us tend to live the same way as everybody else. Well, he didn't.
It's very true. Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for sharing your film. We're having its world premiere here at Black Nights Film Festival.
Thank you. It's been a joy.
Thank you.